Some people wake up already exhausted, heart racing, mind cluttered, before the day even begins. Not because life is hard, but because every emotion is a battlefield they keep losing. One text can ruin their morning. One ignored message can break their focus. One offhand remark can derail the entire week. That is not misfortune. That is emotional vulnerability, untrained, unguarded, and exposed. If someone can control your internal world with a facial expression or a few words, you are not stable. You are being puppeteered, and most never see the strings. You explode in traffic. You sink into silence after being left on red. You rehearse fake arguments with people who never hear them. But none of this is about them. It is about the leash your own brain keeps yanking, trained to panic at every shift in tone, every delay, every perceived slight. Each outburst reveals the truth. Your peace is rented, not owned. The lease ends the moment someone disrespects you, and they will, because the world is loud, careless, and often cruel. But letting it move you every time is not strength. It is surrender. You are not here to react like everyone else. You are here to reclaim authority over your emotional climate. When you stop being moved by every external gust, you become the storm. Cold, controlled, predictable only to yourself. And this begins when you stop chasing calm and start choosing it, regardless of what or who tries to break it. The chaos outside cannot touch you if you no longer carry matching chaos inside. This is not detachment. This is discipline. This is what it means to be mentally untouchable. You think your reactions are automatic, like they are just a part of who you are. But here's the cold truth. Your brain is not broken. It is doing its job far too well. You feel the rise of anger when disrespected. Your stomach tightens when someone ignores your message. That spike in blood pressure when someone cuts you off in traffic. Your brain thinks it is saving your life. Back when we were hunter-gatherers, emotional responses were essential for survival. Disrespect, rejection, failure, all of that could mean death. The brain learned to react fast and hard to any sign of danger. A slight could signal a threat. Silence could signal a trap. Every insult was a potential ambush. But that was then, and this is now. Today, someone rolling their eyes at you in a meeting or forgetting to thank you at the store does not carry the same weight. It does not matter. But your brain does not know that. It still thinks a rude comment is a lion ready to pounce. You cannot stop the first emotional reaction. It is built in. But what you can stop is the next part, the part where you let that emotion spiral out of control. That is where true mental strength begins. The choice to let the moment pass, to not let it dictate your entire day. This is the turning point. This is the moment you reclaim your power. When you stop being a slave to the knee-jerk reaction, you start to own your emotional state. And that is the first step in becoming mentally untouchable. Some people react to everything, and they call it being real. But there is nothing real about letting the world control your nervous system like a remote. That is not authenticity. That is instability with branding. Every comment becomes a crisis. Every delay feels like disrespect. Every silence turns into a story of rejection. And while they think they are defending themselves, what they are really doing is exhausting themselves. There is a quieter way to win. Minimalism is not just for closets. It belongs in your mind, in your emotions, in the way you move through conflict. Because not every tone requires a rebuttal. Not every message deserves a reply. Not every jab needs a counterpunch. The strongest people in the room are not loud. They are selective. Selectiveness is power. When you stop reacting to everything, you send a signal, internally and externally, that you are not available for nonsense. You are not a sponge for every insult. You are a mirror. What they throw bounces back. What they try to ignite dies out in your silence. And no, This is not indifference, it is intelligence. You are conserving energy for what actually moves the needle. You are not letting stray words from unstable people hijack your peace. You are choosing emotional minimalism, not because you do not care, but because you finally do. They poke, they prod, they whisper insults just loud enough for you to hear. And when that does not work, they escalate. Because some people feed on reactions. They survive off borrowed energy. Yours. Let them try. Let them stare, mock, provoke. Let them reach for that switch they swore used to work on you. Watch what happens when it no longer does. Watch how quickly the performance collapses when the audience refuses to clap. There is no show without your response. You are not here to be someone's emotional punching bag. You are not here to explain your silence, justify your calm, or perform for their chaos. And if that makes you the villain in their story, so be it. Better the villain than the puppet. Control is not about dominance. It is about restraint. They want your explosion, not because they fear it, but because it confirms their control. Give them silence instead. It burns longer. Soon they will call you cold. They will say you have changed. They are right. You have. You stopped bleeding for people who only ever handed you knives. You stopped answering to chaos dressed as connection. This is not detachment. This is precision. Let them test you. Let them reach. Just do not reach back. That is how you win. There is a reason the calmest person in the room holds the most power. You cannot provoke what refuses to perform. That kind of restraint confuses people. It unsettles them because they are used to control being loud, commands, explosions, aggression. But real strength is quiet, composed, surgical. You cannot fake this kind of calm. It is not performance. It is not arrogance. It is earned. It is built through fire. When you wanted to scream but chose silence. When you were disrespected and chose not to explain your worth. When you could have reacted but realized it would only feed the noise. Every choice not to react rewires your mind. You are teaching it. Not everything deserves access to me. Not every opinion deserves weight. Not every insult is an invitation to respond. They will not understand. They will call you cold. They will say you are distant, hard to read. Let them. Stillness is not weakness. It is strategy. The world has convinced you that loudness equals power. But storms that shout get ignored. Earthquakes that stay silent reshape landscapes. When your emotions rise, sit with them. Do not suppress them. Master them. Watch them. Feel the pull to explode. Then choose to stay still. Not for them. For you. You are not here to be understood. You are here to be untouchable. The first time you choose not to react, it stings. The silence feels like defeat. The ego will scream. But you do it anyway. That is rep 1. You resist the urge to prove a point. You let someone cut the line without performing outrage. You endure an insult without declaring war. Another representative. Every time you pause instead of pounce, you are breaking the old circuitry. You are starving the chaos. You are building a new identity. And the shift is brutal at first because the world feeds off reaction. People throw bait, not to win, but to pull you out of control. They want to break your frame so they can feel taller inside theirs. But once they see you do not bite, they panic. They lose their script. The stronger you become, the quieter your reactions. Because nothing shakes a person who has seen what they are capable of and no longer needs to prove it. Discipline is not loud. It whispers. It says, not today. It says, this moment will not own me. It says, I am not here to be moved by noise. You want calm? Earn it. Train it like muscle. Refuse to react one small moment at a time. Until the things that used to shatter you barely leave a mark. Do not flinch when disrespected. Do not bark when provoked. Do not scramble to justify yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. These are not signs of maturity. They are signs of emotional slavery. The mentally untouchable follow a code. They do not play every game just because they are invited. You do not prove strength by reacting. You prove it by choosing silence when chaos demands a show. There is no need to convince the world you are calm. Let your discipline speak in your posture, your eyes, your lack of need to respond. Do not fight every battle. Do not explain every silence. Do not seek closure from people who only offer confusion. Your peace does not need their permission to exist. Do create boundaries so clear that they need no explanation. Do protect your mental energy like a vault. Not everyone deserves your presence. Not everyone qualifies for access. Your time, your focus, your composure, these are resources. Stop giving them to people who drain them without return. If a message is toxic, do not reply. If a comment is bait, do not bite. If someone's behavior reveals their character, believe it and withdraw. Maturity is not about being nice. It is about knowing when to be unavailable. You do not owe your reactions to the world. You owe your loyalty to the version of yourself you are trying to build. And that version does not flinch under pressure. Do not confuse numbness with strength. Emotional control does not mean you feel nothing. It means you feel everything and still choose stillness. That is real power. The person who needs to scream to be heard has already lost. The one who can hear every insult, face every storm, and still move with precision, that is the threat. The dark horse knows the battlefield well, but refuses to let the war enter his mind. He studies every opponent, but gives none of them the ability to shape his day. Emotional minimalism is not indifference, it is prioritization. And the highest priority is always peace. That peace must become your baseline, not a luxury, not a weekend retreat, but your home base. You protect it like territory. And finally, do not waste time convincing the world you have changed. Let your actions betray your evolution. Let your new calm offend people who thrived off your chaos. You will be called arrogant, cold, too distant, too disciplined. Let them say what they need to say. You are not responsible for their comfort. You are responsible for your transformation. There is a version of you that no longer reacts to cheap attacks. That version is already watching from the shadows, waiting for you to stop dancing for approval and start walking like you are untouchable, because that is who you have always been. You just needed the silence to hear it. You do not need to become a machine. You do not need to erase emotion or pretend nothing touches you. The real goal is clarity, precision, the ability to feel deeply without letting those feelings drown you. The person who controls your emotional state controls you. The one who can provoke you owns you. But when your mind becomes disciplined, when you respond only to what is worthy, you take that power back. Let others flail. Let them chase chaos. You move differently now. Mental strength is not loud. It is silent. But its silence is deafening. This is not just advice. This is a warning. Because the moment you choose calm over chaos, clarity over confusion, silence over noise, you stop being ordinary, you stop being predictable, you become untouchable, you become one of us, you become a dark horse.